I spent over $36,000 to $40,000 over the last 3 years in SEO companies and marketing agencies that underpromised and over-delivered. After I started doing some digging onto my own, I found out that their deliverables were just not what I expected them to be. Welcome to the Legacy Builders podcast, where we are redefining generational wealth one story at a time. If you're looking to build something bigger than yourself, then you are definitely in the right place. Today, I want to talk about my journey from working with vendors that underpromised and over-delivered to actually building my own SEO system and marketing agency. The story goes is I bought into a franchise knowing that there were systems in place, right? And there absolutely is systems. There's branding involved. There's a loyal customer base. Like everything you could imagine is there. However, what I quickly learned, nope, I take that back. I am lying to you. What I learned is that something that works well for an operation that is making millions of dollars, in this case, headquarters making about $4 million. My first year, I was making about $189,000. Something that works well for a larger entity does not necessarily mean it's going to work for a smaller operation, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I did see some progress. I hired an SEO agency that was approved and being used by headquarters. And then I used their advertising agency as well, marketing agency. So they were running Google ads and Facebook ads and the whole nine. So things were coasting along. I was getting leads. I was making sales. I didn't think, to look into it much. I did see that over time, my ranking in Google started climbing up slowly. And it took a good 2 years, maybe 2.5 years before I got to that second spot in Google and got into the map pack. I also had a bunch of different vendors trying to sell me map pack placement. So when you open a new LLC and then you register your business on Google, you're going to get flooded with a bunch of phone calls of people trying to say, hey, we noticed that your listing wasn't showing up correctly. We can get you ranked to the top 3, and usually it's somewhere between $300 and $500. And I listened to a lot of it sounds salesy. And I did have a lot of experience in the sales world, so I could easily pick them out, right? But me being the businessman that I am, willing to take chances and take risks, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot because I really want to get to the top and beat my competitors and not have to pay for ads in the future, which fast forward, you kind of do even if you're ranked at the top. So anyways, gave that a shot, and 3 years go by. The AI revolution comes in with ChatGPT. I start digging into things. And mind you, I always had an issue with the advertising agency that I was using because I would keep telling them like, hey, I have money to spend. I don't have a budget. I just want the leads because I know I can convert them. Okay. And it felt like I had a handhold and babysit. And finally, I started digging into it and I wasn't getting updates like I was supposed to. And it just became a frustrating experience. So I switched vendors. And I was very clear with the expectations up front in that I needed an update every week until everything was stable. They missed a week after, I'd say, the second week that we were working together, and I cut them off immediately because I just couldn't take it, right? And I jumped into ChatGPT and I created a bot that would that's like a master Google Ads rep, right? I was like, hey, pretend that you're a $10,000 a month ads rep and you're running ads for the top dog training business in the industry. And so I created that, started tweaking ads, and now things are performing spot on, okay? But that's not the big one. The big one is I built my own SEO back engine that I now plug into all my businesses, and eventually I plan to monetize it. But what happened there was I started looking at the deliverables of the SEO company, right? Their quarterly reports. What were they doing for me for $1,000 a month? What it boiled down to was that they were doing 3 Google My Business posts a week, which is fine. That's a pretty good consistency. They were doing 1 blog post a quarter. So that's only 4 blog posts every year. And then they were supposed to be getting 1 to 2 backlinks per month, okay? Or maybe per quarter. And I had access to the WordPress page for my particular territory. So I log in, I start looking at all of the different blog posts. And if you know anything about WordPress, you can see when a page is fully optimized. So what that means is there's red dots, green dots, and yellow dots. And if it is in yellow and red, then that means it's not fully optimized. If you see green, then that means that's a really good web page. Okay, really good blog. It has really good content. When I logged in, I noticed that literally almost every single post was red. It was all reds and yellows. And so for me, I'm thinking these guys are only pumping out 1 blog post every quarter, again, for a year, and they can't even optimize them. And it gets even worse because I dug into it a little more and I found out that these were actually static pages. Now, with the static page, it's troublesome because those are not indexed by Google. The public doesn't really see them, right? It's just kind of information sitting on your website. And so I was like, what the heck? So not only are their pages not optimized, they're static pages, which can't even be indexed. They're only doing 3 GMB posts a week. Again, that one's okay. 1 blog post every quarter, and then a couple of backlinks every month, maybe every quarter, right? And I built a GPT where I started with, it was like, hey, I need to make sure that all of these web pages, blog posts are optimized, or even just a standard static pages that were there too, right? SEO friendly, SEO optimized. And so I started building a GPT that would take my top competitors in my area and analyzing their website, analyzing their blog post. And so I was like, I don't want to have to run out of content. So my competitors have hundreds of pages of content that I can use, okay? So what I did was I'm able to take the link of their content, pop it into the ChatGPT or that particular bot, and it's going to spit out a fully optimized blog post for my business, for my brand. And it's not word for word, it's not plagiarized, but I mean, it updates with all the different backlinks and everything that you would need to make it look as if All Dogs Unleashed wrote it, right? Or my dog training company. And so we're now able to do 4 high quality blog posts per week. So instead of doing 1 blog post per quarter like they were doing, I'm doing 15x that, maybe even more, right? High quality. So if you look back into the WordPress login, everything is lit up green like a Christmas tree. Just fantastic. So that was step 1. Step 2 was making sure that I had an automated Google My Business post going out. So I use something like Local Brand Manager or Viking King, and I had to mess with the GPT for a long time because if you know anything about ChatGPT, it does not do really well with large numbers and projections. And this XML file or CSV file was not very complicated, but basically it needs the location of the image, so you have to load it up to Imager. And then I used ChatGPT to create 365 days of content, and then plugged it in to Google My Business. And now every single day I have a post going out on Google My Business with an image optimized, and it's structured so that way when it's a holiday, it has more of a holiday post. Summertime, so like tips, tricks, and like updates on the business and all that. So that was that. Backlinks, currently using a tool called Postaga. That one still haven't really mastered, but in this day and age, it doesn't really matter because according to the interwebs, the SEO, search engine optimization, is kind of dead or going away. It's now search everywhere optimization, which means that you want your brand to show up on Reddit and Instagram and all the forums, right? You want to be mentioned in those things. So again, still working on the backlinks. However, just even those 2 pieces, once we started implementing that, we noticed a huge shift in our ability to show up in the ranks and just stay there. Again, 16xing the output. And I'm like, okay, this is really, really cool. how can I not only scale this and optimize it for my businesses, all the businesses that I buy, right? Again, I'm working on a groomer that I'm purchasing in Texas. So now I can plug that in. If I'm looking for a business that they don't really have a good web page, they're not ranked very high in Google. Now I can plug in this legacy engine with the business growth operating system, which I trademarked everything because I was super excited. And for me, having that shiny penny, I was like, okay, I want to brand it and I want to sell it. So anyways, I'm going to plug it into my existing businesses and the businesses that I purchase. And so I can get everything ranked. Now I can also optimize ad spend because I have systems in place for that, right? I also built a sales coach. So basically, I uploaded a GPT with a bunch of transcripts of good sales calls, bad sales calls, any franchise documents, like, tailored the pitch. We created a master sales pitch. And then every time a phone call or a transcript is recorded, it goes in and filters through and tells the sales rep what he did good, what he could do better, and then how to handle an objection next time. So within 2 weeks of him taking over sales, he had customers asking him if he was a professional dog trainer. But no, he was just a sales guy. The GPT did that good of a job, right? So, sorry, I backtracked a little bit there, but the idea is I eventually want to monetize it because I can do it for my businesses and every single business that I buy. But I currently have 2 case studies onboarded. Actually, 3 will be here pretty soon. One of the case studies that I onboarded, it is a local window cleaner here in the Treasure Valley. And if you know anything about window cleaning or gutter cleaning, it is a very saturated market. Within 2 months, we already have him close to that first page on Google, and he's on the first page of the map pack. He's still going ranked at probably, I'd say 15, 16, but we're making huge, significant progress. And it is just exciting and exhilarating to see that and be able to build it not only for myself and not have to pay $1,000 for SEO, $1,500 for somebody to manage my Facebook ads and Google ads, right? And I don't have to handhold and babysit and look for updates. It is all built here. So key takeaway is look into who you're working with your partners. I know sometimes us as business owners, especially if we're still operating the business, we don't have a lot of time to learn these things and do these things, but you can find folks who can do and build those systems for you, right? It just really surprised me that what I was not getting what I was paying for. And sometimes as a small business owner, you don't know what you don't know. And until you start digging and asking for things and having communication with those folks, then you really don't know what you're getting. And actually, that's a huge red flag. Maybe we'll dig into more later. A huge red flag that your vendor is not producing for you or giving you what you need is a very slow response time. A lot of the times, if I don't get a response within 24 hours, I'm like, all right, we need to start evaluating this relationship because they might not work at the speed that I need it to work at, right? If I have questions, I want to answer pretty quick because I want to understand what's going on in my business. Every day that goes by is probably an opportunity missed. So till the next one, again, make sure you look at your financials, look at everything you need to look at, and keep learning every day because you might surprise yourself with what you can do with what you have.